After delaying the inevitable of rebuilding the city, I woke up and decided to get to work. What many people do not know about part 1 of restoring the ancient city is I did many side projects that would affect the end result of the city for the better, which I will show later in the video. For day 1, I wanted to shine some light on the city and I had an idea for the pillars. Let's time lapse, shall we? When I started this project, there was one idea that always stuck with me. I wanted water, but not just a puddle, I wanted bodies of water. I figured since the floor was what I was gonna do next, why not start with that? I would say one of the most important things a build or project can have in Minecraft is the environment or atmosphere that surrounds it. You see, this whole video idea generated from a vision I had months ago when I thought the ancient city would be so much cooler if it had this. That idea only got better over time, so I intended to bring my vision to life. While starting to place dirt on the floor, I ran into a problem. I ran out of dirt blocks. Now, I could easily go get some dirt blocks with my shovel, but where's the fun in that? I decided to substitute the dirt blocks with moss blocks, the next best option. Now, for those that don't know, you can use bone meal on a singular moss block and it can spread to other blocks and turn those blocks into moss blocks. Those blocks include dirt, coarse dirt, podzol, rooted dirt, grass block, stone, andesite, diorite, granite, deep slate, mud, and lastly, the best block in the game, tuff. Luckily, I already have a moss farm, and finally, tuff has a use. Rest in peace, tuff golem. But also, I'd like to point out, getting dirt is way easier than getting moss blocks, but I'm doing this for you guys. So if you can do me a favor and subscribe, it would mean a lot. Now, let's get back to the video. Now, it took me a full day of using the moss farm to only get 3 shulkers full of moss blocks. I honestly regretted not just using my shovel to get dirt, but either way, I was gonna get moss for the future of this build, so why not do it sooner than later? Even though I spent a long time getting these moss blocks, I used my shovel and filled some shulkers with dirt. Because what I wanted to use the moss blocks for wasn't the floor, it was the roof. However, moss was always in the plan for the floor, and I would say without it, the floor wouldn't have looked as good as I imagined. At the start of the video, I said while I was working on part 1 of the ancient city, I did many behind-the-scenes side projects that would affect the end result of the city for the better. One of those projects was the moss farm, and the other one was a froglight farm. This one took me about 34 hours straight to make. The farm may look simple, but what I had to do to make this farm successful was nothing short of a nightmare. First, I had to find a bastion with a magma cube spawner. Next, I wanted every color of froglight, so I got 2 of each colored frog. Then I had to bring them into this farm, where they would spend the rest of their lives. So as time consuming as this farm took, it was well worth it. Before we can start restoring the city itself, we have to add other features as well to this cave. For this project, what inspired me was Pokemon Sword's Fairy-type gym, or at least where the gym is located, Balanlea. The atmosphere of that forest was my favorite location in that game, and that is what is inspiring me for this project. Even though I spent almost 2 weeks on the last step, this is the first step I felt I had true creativity and freedom to do what I wanted. Before we could start properly on this step, we had to do some preparation first. I spent a good amount of time at my gunpowder farm getting a good amount of gunpowder, as well as destroying every beach nearby to get a lot of sand. And all of this just to get a few stacks of TNT. The TNT was vital to what we're about to do. This city project was taking much longer than what I wanted, and it was either I mined a huge cave hole from the ground to the surface, or I used TNT, the easier option. What I wanted to do was make 2 entrances to this city. I wanted a normal mine system for the front of the city, then I wanted a lake that had a hole to the surface with waterfalls and another lake, and yeah, you'll just have to see for yourself. All I do is I just branch all the way up here. So everything to my right, where I'm looking, let's get rid of that. Okay, would you like to do the honors and light it?
Sure.
Oh, well, wait, you just lit me on fire. Let's do this. Go for it. Okay, this will be very interesting. Oh, you're a little too close to comfort there. Ah, that actually looks not bad. That's fine. Okay. Now we just need to see if you can fly up it. Okay, that's the part I'll probably need to mine out too. Remember when I said my plan for the moss blocks was to use them for the ceiling? This was it. It may not be much, but I never wanted to cover the whole ceiling, I just wanted this pond covered. And that is what makes it more special. While I was waiting for the glowberries to grow, I made the entire main entrance to the city, and I'm very proud with how it turned out. Now that I finished making the entrances to the city, it's time to add some life to the city. So let's add some mushrooms. I would also like to point out I added some more detail to the ponds by the main entrance to match the lake I just made. The small details made a huge difference, but let's stop getting distracted and start working on the mushrooms. With the mushrooms done, there was one final thing I had to do before I started rebuilding the city. I needed a game plan for the layout. What I mean by this is remove some buildings and have plans for what will replace where the removed buildings are. Luckily, with over 2 months of working on this, it has given me plenty of time to brainstorm, so I guess I was quite over-prepared. The end for this project was near. I was overwhelmed, overjoyed, but most importantly, relieved that this was almost it. The end. The game plan I had for the layout was becoming successful. All the buildings I removed were all in one part of the city. I didn't want to just add random buildings to replace the older ones, so I was gonna add buildings that this city didn't have. What I mean by that is this city didn't generate two structures I wanted: social area and the spa. But sadly, even though I cleared an area for the spa, it was too big of a structure to fit here. So I added some houses instead, which worked perfectly. If you watched the first video of this project, I explained why I didn't remove the skulk off of the city portal, which was if I removed the deep slate, I would want to replace it as I go with deep slate bricks. This was only half of the truth. The other half was I left it on purpose as a motivation that this city used to be covered in skulk. This trick honestly didn't work at all during the process of the project. In fact, I have debated giving up on this project numerous times. However, with where I'm at now, it is starting to hit me how far I've come. Before I show you the finished result, I want to give you some insight. This project took over 1,000 days in Minecraft, which is equivalent to 20,000 real minutes, or 333.33 hours. To put it simple, that's almost 2 weeks straight without getting off the game. That is absolutely nuts. I started this project back in early January. I worked very hard on this build, and I'm extremely satisfied and ecstatic with how it turned out. When I was done, the first thing I asked myself was, why? Why did I do this? Why did I spend so much time on something so meaningless? I spent a good few minutes thinking of an answer, and yet I had no answer. Until I had it, my answer was validation. Let me explain. This journey has made me more confident as a human being. Before and during this project, I used to have very negative self-talk and bad mental health, with the mindset of, I can't do anything, or high levels of disappointment in myself. But I did this project so I could strive moving forward, because if I could spend 2 months straight of my life doing something so absurd and so meaningless, I know I can accomplish anything.